Today's story is based on the events that happened with Harumitsu, because those incidents haunt him almost every night, in middle of his sleep, till date.
The window of room number 404. This story is a depiction of the true event. The identity of people associated with these incidents is limited to them. This channel does not promote any spiritual or superstitious activities.
This story is based on some such incidents that happened with Harumitsu a month ago, which is beyond our imagination. Harumitsu was one of them who used to make fun of ghosts, and also of those who are afraid of them. And according to him, the abode of these invisible powers is only a product of our imaginations. But what about today? Today, he also realizes that his thinking was absolutely wrong. About a month ago, Harumitsu was sent to Russia for 6 days due to some official work. The first 4 days passed smoothly, but on the 5th day a series of strange incidents started. On the 5th day, he had to check in at a hotel that was located at Olkan Island. Finally, after a long journey, he reached there in the afternoon. There was a weird calmness in this hotel, which seemed quite unusual to Harumitsu. Suddenly, he felt as if his whole body had become heavy and could not even move a step forward. The reason behind this heaviness could be the jet lag after a long journey. The hotel manager handed him the keys to room number 404. Harumitsu reached room number 404 after passing a long corridor full of beautiful old-fashioned paintings, and meanwhile, in the corridor, the sound of a baby crying clearly reached Harumitsu's ears, but no child could be seen there at all. Room number 404 was the last room of the corridor. As soon as Harumitsu opened the door of the room, he was pushed hard by a gust of wind, and now, surprisingly, the cry of the child stopped at that very moment. The silence inside the room was making Harumitsu restless. He locked the room from the inside and lay down quietly on the bed. His whole body went numb in a strange way. Harumitsu was feeling very insecure. There was a weird smell inside that room, as if it had been locked for a long time and had not been cleaned. He took the phone to call the reception, but the phone was dead. Despite not wanting to, Harumitsu had to get up. The reception was far from his room. On his way to the reception, the workers at that hotel were staring at him with strange eyes, and without paying much attention to all these things, he proceeded towards the reception. After reaching there, he lodged a complaint to the manager and requested to change his room. The manager said,
"Sir, we apologize for the inconvenience caused. There is no other room vacant at this time. It's only a matter of tonight. I will change your room tomorrow morning, and for the time being let me get your room cleaned thoroughly."
Harumitsu slept on the recliner in the waiting room for about an hour. When his eyes opened, it was already 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He rushed to his room, got himself ready and left for his meeting. That day, the meeting lasted till about 8 in the evening, and after returning at around 9 p.m., Harumitsu had dinner in his hotel and went to the room number 404. There was a big window in this room, and the view outside the window was unbelievable. As soon as he opened that window, the front view was off Lake Baikal. Harumitsu turned on the TV and noticed a picture of a child on the left side. The picture seemed to be of one 4 to 5 years old boy whose face was full of innocence, and his eyes were on Harumitsu. To be honest, it seemed as if the child was continuously staring at him. Harumitsu stopped looking at the picture, turned off the TV and started working on his laptop. And suddenly, he heard the same sound that he heard this afternoon. Around 10 o'clock in the night, there was a strange noise of a child crying. When he looked at the TV, he saw it was already off. After listening carefully, it seemed as if that sound was coming from outside the window. Harumitsu got up, and as soon as he opened the window, the sound lost. That night, Harumitsu was completely mesmerized by the view of the Lake Baikal. Standing near the window, he was gazing at that Lake Baikal, when suddenly someone pushed him from behind, and his steps wobbled a little. Although this was not a forceful push, still, a fear had definitely arisen in his mind, as there was no one in that room except him. He immediately closed the window, and as soon as he picked up the remote to turn on the TV, he looked at the wall on the left side of the TV. He went to see the picture of that child closely. As he looked at the picture, he was stunned, because he could actually see some tears in the eyes of that child, as if till now, the noise he has been hearing of the child crying belonged to the same child in that picture. He thought that maybe he was dreaming until now, but only after a while, he was convinced that this was not any hallucination but a reality. While lying in the bed, Harumitsu covered himself from head to toe with a bedsheet so that, because of the darkness, he would not see even a glimpse of the room in front of his eyes. And that bedsheet of Harumitsu, someone was slowly dragging it down. His heart was in his throat, and he was trembling out of fear. Then, suddenly, he could actually see the light flickering through the sheet. He gathered all his courage and removed the sheet from his entire body. As soon as he removed the sheet, he found that the light of the bathroom was switching on and off on its own. With subdued steps, he started walking towards the bathroom and noticed that the switch was already off. As Harumitsu came out, he was startled by what he encountered in front of his eyes. He saw a child playing around with his laptop, which was lying on the bed. The face of this child was exactly the same as the child he saw in that picture. He was just looking at that child with stunned eyes, then suddenly, right away, that child glanced at him with a giggle. Harumitsu was literally dumbstruck at that very moment. He immediately regained his consciousness and ran out of the room. He rushed towards the reception, where he found a female employee of that hotel. Harumitsu shouted at her in fear and said, "I saw a child in my room." When Harumitsu said this, that female's eyes widened with a shock, as if suddenly she remembered something, but ignoring all, she said,
"If you do not have any problem, you can spend tonight in my room."
Harumitsu grabbed her hand and said, "Miss, there's something you are hiding from me and do not want to disclose." And then, with subsequent requests, the lady revealed the biggest secret of room number 404. She told that,
Many years ago, a lady had come to this hotel for a month due to some official work. Since she was a single mother, it was not possible to leave her 5-year-old child home alone, due to which she had to bring him along with her. Because she was an African, one worker named Aleska in that hotel started looking at her with disdain and did not miss any opportunity to insult her, since she had come here now because she had already booked room number 404 for a month, so she decorated the room like her own home. She replaced the paintings on the wall with the pictures of them both, to make that room feel like home to her child also. One night, the lady was late from work. She called the reception and ordered a glass of milk for her child. Since the hotel manager was on leave that night, and because of this, Aleska's duty was at the reception. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he decided to go to the room number 404 on the pretense of giving milk. He went to the lady's room with a glass of milk and knocked the door. As soon as she opened the door and took that glass of milk, Alezka grabbed her by the hand. Now she could actually sense his evil intentions. After this, Alezka knew very well that this lady can put his job in danger, so with a pretext of racism, he abused her and started coercing her in front of her child. During all this, a scuffle broke out between them. Alezka lost his temper and killed the lady and her child. Then, to erase the evidences, he threw their dead bodies in the Lake Baikal outside the window, so that everyone would assume that it was not a murder, but a suicide. And what about Alezka? As we all know, the truth can never be hidden. Very soon Alezka was arrested, and even today he is serving the punishment for his deeds. During this time, the room was locked due to being under court's custody for a long time. Now, when this room is unlocked, everything in it has been changed, except the picture of that child.
While listening to this female employee, Harumitsu had no idea when he fell asleep. When he opened his eyes in the morning, he could not find her anywhere near him. But before leaving, he wanted to meet her at least once. When Harumitsu asked the manager about her, he could not help him. An employee standing next to the manager eagerly asked the name of that female employee to Harumitsu. Harumitsu said that I met her just last night and she had told me that her name was Amber. Upon hearing this name, the employee said,
"Sir, did you have any dream last night? Because the woman who was murdered along with her child in the room is none other than Mrs. Amber."
Thank you for your time. You were listening to Milestone 13. Please do not forget to follow us on our social media. Links are in the description.